And I'm joined this afternoon by Elizabeth Disco-Shearer. She's the CEO for the Disaster Service Corporation of the St. Vincent de Paul Society USA. And they are very familiar with long-term recovery prospects. And she's here just to give us some insight and some perspective and maybe fill you in on what you can do. Hey, Elizabeth, thank you for your time. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Oh, so you're actually in Houston right now helping to clean up with Harvey, from what I understand. After 2 weeks, what's that like, and how's it looking there?
Well, there's still some search and rescue in some areas where they haven't been able to locate people, and then there's some areas that are still wet. There's lots of homes that have been destroyed. Over 1 million cars have been destroyed, and the impact to homes is about 500,000. FEMA is predicting this will exceed Katrina as far as evacuees registering. We have over 52,000 people displaced in hotel rooms throughout the state. So it's a pretty intense situation on the ground. We're working with our impacted Catholic diocese, and St. Vincent de Paul is setting up what we call PRACs, or Parish Recovery Assistance Centers, where we can work directly in communities where people are impacted because we know they don't have transportation, but they can get to their local parish.
So what are the initial reports you're hearing about from Florida? How bad is it there?
We know that the Key West took a hit. We know Jacksonville's having epic flooding right now. And so we know that Orlando had tornadic activity, and we're waiting to get an assessment from emergency management and FEMA, and then we can make a determination which of our dioceses were impacted and how we can best help. St. Vincent de Paul is a member of the National Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster, and we work with all our other partners, from the FEMA partners to the emergency management to Red Cross, Salvation Army, and the other partners in disaster response and recovery.
Here's the frustrating part of all this for anybody who works with disaster relief, and I've traveled with CRS and a lot of other groups. Long-term recovery is something most people forget about after the TV news cameras leave. So this is nonstop coverage, wall-to-wall, while this storm is unfolding. We'll get some stories afterwards, but then it becomes a distant memory as some other news story crops up or some other disaster takes place. How long does this stay in the public eye? And ultimately, what can we do, not just today, but in the days ahead, to help with the recovery and relief?
Well, I call it the CNN effect. It's usually within the public eye within 72 hours after the event, when it's an active event. Yeah. But St. Vincent de Paul is on the ground when the event happens, helping families, and we're there for years afterwards because we're in those communities doing long-term case management with the families and trying to help them find a road back to recovery.
So if we want to help, best place to go is what? How can we help the efforts?
Well, we have a website called SVdP-Disaster.org, like St. Vincent de Paul, but SVdP-Disaster.org. And people can email us if they'd like to volunteer. They can donate. We have a number of programs right now. One of our programs is House in a Box, and we provide new furniture for families once they find temporary housing while they're trying to rebuild, because that will take years. And they can sponsor a family of four. They can sponsor for furniture for $2,500. So that's a very tangible way to help. We need a lot of prayers right now because we're dealing with Harvey and Irma. And before Harvey and Irma hit, St. Vincent de Paul was managing 31 other disasters across the United States. We've had fires on the west. We're still doing long-term recovery from Matthew. We're working in Louisiana with the epic flooding that they had in 2016. Right. We're working in the Midwest with flooding. So there's a lot out there, but we have a donation button on our website that people can see on the front page of our website, and they can also email or call us if they'd like to get additional information.
Well, keep up your good work, Elizabeth. We're grateful for your time and for all your efforts. You'll have our prayers and hopefully our support as well, okay?
Okay, thank you all so much, and we certainly appreciate the Catholic community.
You got it. And the website again, SVDP for St. Vincent de Paul, disaster.org, SVDP, disaster.org. That was Elizabeth Disco-Shearer.